This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, with that, I will call to order this meeting of the Easthampton Planning Board for Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. We are all in person and we are recording. First item on the agenda is public speak. Is there anyone here that wants to speak to anything that is not on the agenda tonight? All right, if nobody on the planning board objects, I'd like to do the A&Rs first. Makes sense, people? All right. So the first A&R is for 245 Park Street. Is there anybody here to present on that or plan to look at?
Thanks.
Okay. Is this working? Not sure it is.
I do have it to put up on the screen.
Okay, that's great. There we go.
Some plans on the screen for you to see. That's the uncomfortable silence.
I know.
Be filling in the uncomfortable silence.
Comfortable with me, not comfortable. All right, so this one's on Park Street, right?
Yes, this is 245 Park Street. It's currently one lot. They have sufficient frontage to create a second lot from that property.
See the plans.
It's over. Yeah.
You don't want to put it in the middle there?
Well, I have my chance before, but
All right. So this is frontage here, lot B, lot A. Are we taking or are we moving?
So right now it's all one lot. So they're creating lot A and lot B from the existing 2.5 acres.
Got it. And lot A goes around this and has the frontage of what, 98?
It's and then there's a little extra piece at there.
4.6,
Yeah.
which puts them over 100 unless they have the allotment. I'm good.
any other questions, planning board members? All right,
Motion to endorse the A&R for 245.
Second.
right, voting to endorse the A&R 245 Park Street. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? All right. Next up is 33 Loudville Road, 279 Loudville Road, and Torrey Street.
I don't have file.
Online, you mean on the computer? Yeah. Mhm.
They are merging the lots together that were part of that development.
Combined area.
So there will be the remaining 283. Okay. 283 is here.
Yep.
They're picking up this piece and this piece. This house here is what's the address on that one?
That one's 279, I think.
That sounds
Or no, this is 279R, right?
Yep,
'Cause it'll be
so
the rear lot, yeah.
279R they're picking up, and then 279 is taking the remainder of 279R, merging it. So you're ending up with one less lot overall.
Yep, but the frontage doesn't change.
The frontage is not changing for any of the lots.
Yeah.
Good.
Comment, questions?
The frontage is changing here, it's becoming compliant.
Wider, yeah, right. All right,
A motion to endorse 283 Ladville Road, Vienna.
Second.
going to endorse 33 Ladville Road. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Next up, Hendrick Street A&R.
I have a log cabin, it's right on the boundary with Holyoke, so Holyoke will actually also have to sign these plans.
There's a bit of log cabin.
Yes, yep. So it's actually only a small piece that is in Easthampton and it's being merged.
It's really just this back little area that's the east.
That's
part.
our,
This is
that's
Holyoke.
our piece.
There actually isn't any frontage.
Yeah,
We do our part on this.
so there is a public way. All right, any questions, comments from the board?
Motion to endorse the A&R for Hendrick Street.
Second.
All right, voting to endorse Hendrick Street A&R. All those in favor? Aye. All right, and 342 Main Street.
This is 342 and 336 Main Street. 342 is giving over a 10-foot wide strip to 336 Main Street. Which is
Right.
before you tonight.
Just moving.
Just that little
Yep.
thing there.
Yep,
Um,
it's more space, preserves frontage on the pre-existing lot.
Okay.
Any questions, comments from the board? All right,
No. I motion to endorse the A&R for 342 Main Street.
Second.
all right, voting to endorse the A&R 342 Main Street. All those in favor? Aye. Beautiful. All right.
We have a right to ask questions on this project?
There will be opportunity for comment and questions on all of these projects.
Okay.
We're gonna start with a public hearing on 132 and 134 West Street. Is there someone here to speak to that on behalf of the applicant? And if you can just give everyone name and address before you speak, just for the record, please. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Bucky Sparkle. I am the civil engineer for the project. On behalf of the applicant, I'm going to provide a brief presentation and move on from there. Is this on? I can't even tell. I can't hear.
There might be a button on the front. Is the green light there?
The one that says push.
There you go.
All right. Let me log into the meeting that I'm standing in. Right. And I'm not allowed to share my screen, it says. Is that possible to change?
Yeah, I sent you a request to be a commissioner. I just made you a co-host. So
There we go. That makes a difference. All right. Okay. I think I'm online and in person simultaneously.
Beautiful.
All right. So, yeah, I'm here to present the 132/134 West Street application for special permit, more commonly known as Fat Frog Farm, amongst the owners and applicants. And Google Meets is taking up my screen in ways that are not going to work. Excuse me. I'd like to introduce the project team. The applicant owner is Mindy Cotherman, who currently lives there. Her partner, Allison Monat, is not present at the moment. I think she would be online, but I'm not certain. I'm the civil engineer. We have our wetlands on the property, so we had Wendell Wetland Services come out and provide the delineation, which was confirmed by the Conservation Commission. Landscape design was by Carly Picard of Connect Format landscape studio. I'm going to start by talking about the existing conditions. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit here about the location. We are, this is, the blue line is, it's the darker blue line up on that screen. It is not quite as clear as I would like, but the majority of the property that you see on the screen is owned by Mindy and her partner. And actually, as I bring up the screen, I do want to take one moment to segue because Ms. Kothman did want to offer a little blurb about her vision for the project, because this is not a professional development company coming into town and taking over some hunk of land. This has been her property cared for quite some time. So if Mindy is available, I'd like to turn the microphone over to her for a brief moment.
Dear Planning Board members, my name is Mindy Kotherman. I am one of the owners of 132 West Street. And after a full year of working diligently on this project, I am pleased to submit the condo community project to you. When Allison and I decided to make a condo community development, we had 3 goals in mind. One is to make the houses and the entire complex aesthetically pleasing. 2, to make sure there was plenty of green space for each individual owner to enjoy, as well as within the complex for group activities. 3, to build a sense of community in the overall development. We think with this design, we have achieved those 3 goals. We are leaving a barn on the property that will be repurposed for community space. There's also a seating area in the flower gardens by the pond and a pavilion for picnic tables. Individual owners have their own outside private space. We took into consideration the views from the owners' homes as well as the views from the neighbors' homes when plotting our locations. Lastly, we are adding to the current green space by planting more trees and shrubs. And we want to leave a good portion of green space for the residents' enjoyments. And we want to have this neighborhood help build community and bring people together. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So to describe the property itself, it is 2 properties. There's going to be an A&R pending approval of the special permit. So we're kind of going to ignore 134 West Street. That is the little house that's surrounded by the larger property. Presently on site, see, does my mouse translates. We have the primary building, which is a combination of old farm buildings all cobbled together. And we have an existing barn that's a little bit south, which will remain on site. Even farther south is another barn, which is partially torn down at this point, is a hazard and really needs to be taken the rest of the way down. There is an existing paved driveway and parking area. You can see the parking area clearly. You can see the open areas surrounding the old barns and buildings that are relatively grass. And importantly, to the north, you can see a very strong wooded vegetative buffer. To the east, also a very, very strong and dense vegetated buffer. And then if you were to go south on this property, you get into wetlands. And there are Hannum Brook runs along the southern property line. There's a floodplain down there, aquifer protection down there, wetlands, BBW, and buffer zone. None of that is being touched, including the buffer zone. If you look at the green line, the green sort of phantom-y dashed line that runs along, that is the extent of the critical resource areas, and 100% of the development is outside of those areas. And as I mentioned, that was confirmed by the Conservation Commission. It is R35 zoning district, and let me talk about the application a little bit more. So, of course, I submit a whole bunch of information, which I'm assuming everybody's read. In terms of highlights, we're looking for a special permit under section 8.3, multifamily housing. For 14 units, there are 15 or more allowed. So we are not maximizing the development potential of the site. Again, to Mindy's vision, they wanted things to appear a certain way, and they rather have what they want than maximize the potential of the property. We're looking at 8 single-family homes, 3 duplexes for a total of 14 units. The property will remain at 89% open space. Right now, it is a little more than that. It's about 96% open space. So I will say that for converting 7% of a property into 12 additional residential units is a phenomenal economy. It's an incredibly efficient design in terms of its impact on the environment and the greater community. There'll be no on-street parking. There'll be signs indicating that like I said, we're outside of all the resource areas buffers. And we also need to apply for a stormwater management permit. All that information has been submitted. We have a fully compliant system with no discharge downstream for all the impervious area. All right. A slightly more boring but important slide is the overall proposed conditions. So I'm also going to zoom in just a little bit to focus a little bit more on the key areas, because obviously most of the development is outside of is being untouched. So we are looking to upgrade the existing road, extend it a little bit, remove the largest building on site, and the decaying barn also on site. We have sidewalks on the north side of the road that borders all of the structures, and I guess east as you get around the turn. We also have a little bit of sidewalk for the 2 units on the south of the road. It goes through also a guest parking area of 3 spaces. The building in this area, which is hard to see in the screen, I can tell, but off the side of the parking lot is that is the community building. They refer to as the solar barn. They have solar panels up on the barn, and they will be converting that to a community gathering space, building a pavilion out there, a couple of picnic tables. There's a small reflecting pond there, which they're going to maintain, as well as some existing landscaping, which they wish to maintain as well. We have public water and sewer, and let me move on to the next slide. We can always come back to the images because there's a little more information. Oops. So information about the project in general, like I said, public water and sewer, the utilities are all going to be buried, electric, communications, etc. I did provide a detailed traffic impact statement. Highlights of that are for the peak hour, the rush hour morning, we're expecting to generate 13 trips per hour. That is 1 car every 4.5 minutes, which is every 9 minutes in and every 9 minutes out. So we're talking about a very low impact. The road is currently a level of service B, West Street. There'll be no change to the level of service. And the peak hour of traffic is still just 1% of the road's capacity. So really, West Street has the capacity to have several hundred more homes along it before there would be any meaningful impact to the level of service of that collector street. We do need to provide an easement for the small lot 134. Their driveway currently comes off the existing driveway. It does not have access to West Street. There's quite a bit of terrain that commences, so we'll maintain that connection through an easement. I've talked about that there's a community building and a common area available for residents. We are maintaining the perimeter vegetation on the west, north, well, east and south, I guess. And we did receive some amount of comments from the town agents. I've been able to provide a reply. There are a couple of small things to try and work out, but so far nothing that is problematic. I think the most significant thing is I have to do a swept path analysis for the fire department, which I've begun that process. We've got a lot of wiggle room and we'll be able to meet the fire department's requirements quite easily. We are asking for 2 waivers from the standard subdivision regulations. First is the regulations say a dead-end cul-de-sac, dead-end street should be no more than 500 feet. We're proposing 700. Reasons for that include The lot is relatively narrow for the first 300 feet, so it's only possible to build on one side of the road. So that's 300 feet of frontage that is effectively not accessible. Also, the community area and guest parking and pond that we want to maintain also takes up another 250 feet. So roughly 550 feet of the available roadway is just not accessible for this particular lot and configuration. So by extending it just a little bit to 700 feet, we're able to provide larger setback from West Street. We have a very broad setback from West Street. We're not building right up to the road. We're maintaining the existing vegetative cover. Also provides more space in between the individual buildings. For example, the buildings to the north, like 118 West Street, and those just to the east of that, those buildings are 20, 25 feet apart. Our buildings are going to be 30, 35 feet apart, so it'll be more spacious than the existing development nearby, abutting directly. The other waiver that we're looking for is, instead of the standard 24-foot wide roadway, we're looking for a 20-foot roadway, which does meet the fire access code, and that was confirmed with Captain Dan Constantine. It reduces the impervious area. Actually, that 4 feet is the same as 14 parking spaces of asphalt that does no good to anybody, makes everything more expensive, and is a detriment to the environment. There won't be any street parking. There are signs planned for that. A slightly more narrow road also reduces vehicle speeds. It tends to increase pedestrian safety. And of course, this is not going to be a public roadway. This is a private drive, owned, operated, maintained by the residents. We also have a landscape plan that Carly Picard provided for us. And we are going to be removing somewhere around 50 trees. I admit that was a quick count, so I'm going to be off a little bit. About half of those are ancient apple trees from an old orchard. Most of their brethren are already dead and on the ground. Everything that's left is dying and decaying. So even of the trees that are being removed, about half of them are at the very end of their life cycle. And while there is some tree removal, we're mostly developing the areas that are already grass with interstitial trees. We are adding 132 trees and shrubs to the property. That is nearly 3 times what is being removed. So it's a substantial increase, more diversity. Many of those species are native to Western Massachusetts. And we're also bringing in planting beds for another 186 different specimens. So compared to what's currently there, there's actually going to be a substantial increase in biodiversity after the project, as opposed to the current conditions. If you look to the north, the dark green circles are new shrubs. The dark ones are evergreens. The light green circles are deciduous trees. So you can see on the northern perimeter, even though there are scores of trees up there now, we carefully mapped each and every tree versus every other house location and made sure to put a really dense vegetative evergreen screen between the homes and the view sheds to the existing homes to the north. So while looking at your neighbor's house may not be necessarily detrimental, it's kind of nice to have, when there's change, nobody likes change, nice to have a vegetative screen put in there to soften that impact. And we're also adding in some areas, of course, most of it's going to be residential lawn around the houses, but we are adding a pollinator meadow, specifically in some areas. So we're adding more than 13,000 square feet of pollinator meadows. So again, another major improvement to the biodiversity. Mostly it is just grass out in this area. Of course, there's additional lawn, and there's a new seed blend for the stormwater area, which is meant for that type of environment. And that does conclude my rundown of the project. So at this point, I'm happy to open it up to the board and eventually the public for comment.
Any initial questions from the board?
Would it be okay if you could kind of go down some of the comments that you gave back to us from the city representatives? They had some feedback for you.
Yes.
And you answered those questions, and I'd like to kind of get that into the public record.
Yes, I can do that. All right.
Yeah, great.
So I'm gonna zoom in. I guess we're just gonna go over and talk. You don't have to read all my letters again. So let's see. We had the utilities superintendent indicated originally, this was almost a month ago, that where we were planning to connect the proposed gravity sewer to the existing city system wasn't gonna work because there wasn't a manhole there. Well, we went out there and we found the manhole, and he looked in and he got a whole new manhole to take care of now, which he wasn't pleased or either, but the system was bigger than the mapping indicated, and in the city's defense, they indicated that the mapping was spotty in this part of the city. So the manhole of the design is actually there. Clayton's comments are now moot in the field. He said he was fine with making the connection. We talked about some of the little details that mostly won't matter until literally there are people standing in a hole trying to work that out. Also talked about a water connection, and that one of the valves, they wanted 3 valves. There are 3 valves. For some reason, only 2 of them are labeled in one of the views, the one that he was looking at. So I have to add a label to the valve, and that satisfies that comment. They are confirming an 8-inch water main, which is the standard, and I think is appropriate. 6 would work, but we're going to go with 8. And to tweak how the hydrant is located at the bitter end of the main, just to facilitate flushing of that system. We received comments from the health department, Mr. Ryan Griffin, and he also commented on the DPW's comment about the sewer manhole not existing. Well, it exists, so that comment is now moot. Mr. Griffin also suggested that it would be his preference if there were a common refuse collection system. I'm not sure he was fully aware at the time that there were individual bins, both recycling and trash for each unit. We had a little back and forth and further conversation, and it seems that there's some flexibility on that. It's not a requirement to have a dumpster, and I will say that my client is very much against a dumpster for a lot of reasons. I know I have lived next to dumpsters, and especially in the summertime, they are horrific experiences. We really don't want to inflict that upon anyone here. So it seems that we have some flexibility with Ryan in better securing the bins. Some of the bins are kept in garages, so not really an issue. And other bins are kept now in a fenced-in area and can have locking containers or locking latches on it. Mostly, he's concerned about critters getting in there and making a mess. And if they do become a nuisance, you know, they can be managed in a variety of ways, just like anybody who has a trash can. He did make some comments on snow and ice removal. Oh, and that this is all private, so the city doesn't have to worry about it. The snow and ice removal, all winter maintenance, all landscape maintenance is going to be written into the master deed. The master deed is being prepared right now. It's a fairly sizable document and investment, so that is underway. But effectively, he just wants to make sure that there are provisions for the private sidewalk to be taken care of. From the engineering department, I have to give Mandy Morissette some credit. She found a mistake in my, I don't know, it's 180 pages of gobbledygook. And she dug in there and found somewhere where one pipe was mislabeled. She found it. So I give her great credit for diving that deep into the review. That was just I don't know, call it a Scrivener's error. The pipe had been changed during one part of the design, and on the plans it's right, but buried in the computer jargon, it said 18 instead of 15. So it is now 15 everywhere, but the plans were accurate, and that change did not make any meaningful impact on the property or on the design. Finally, we did get some comments from the fire department. There are 2 things. One of the units is a little too far from the road, so we're gonna scoot it up. I think we have to move it 9 feet a little closer. The only real impact there is a little less impervious area, so that's very easy to accommodate. And they do want to see a swept path analysis for the T turnaround for the city's largest apparatus. I was hoping to have that prepared for tonight, but I found out, despite the fact that I subscribe to a professional service for that has hundreds of fire engines, none of them are reasonably close to what the city owns. So I'm trying to get around that technicality in the moment, and I will be successful. And I will provide that swept path analysis. And I've got lots of room and flexibility in that part of the design, and I can slide the pavement wherever it needs to go to make sure that we achieve the fire department's goals. So those were the comments that I'm aware of. Were there any others?
I think that's all we've got so far, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions,
I'd like to dive into some of those.
please?
So, just a couple of questions that I have based on some of the comments that you received in the feedback. These are condos,
Yes.
and there is a shared space you talked about, a building. There's going to be one building that's got a
Yes.
communal space. How's the trash going to be handled in the communal space if it's individual trash bins?
Well, that's a great question to add to the master deed. Actually,
So I'd like to ask about the master deed.
Okay.
By saying that, are you saying that it's a condo association
Yes.
document? Okay.
yes, that is part of it.
terminology.
Yes, in terms of the master deed, there will be an association. The residents will have their own ability to effectively self-govern, maintain their own properties collectively and individually. And I am just, I guess, technically spitballing here a little bit, but I assume that the common space will have its own individual trash and recycling bin, and that those will be stored in an appropriate and secure manner, just like everybody else's trash bins.
And the condo association.
The condo would be responsible for all that entire space, for the power, the water, sewer, snow removal, trash removal, fully responsible as common space.
With regard to the 20-foot width on the road, obviously I like the more impervious or lack of impervious there that creates. But what does it do for the danger of the drivers coming up and down with that width? If you have two cars coming and going, are they able to pass significantly?
Yes, you can have two fire trucks pass each other at that width and still have space on either side and between them. So civilian vehicles, which are much more narrow, have an even larger buffer. As you notice also during peak flow traffic, we get 13 cars an hour. So at the peak traffic flow, we're talking 1 car per 9 minutes coming in, 1 car per 9 minutes coming out. Yes, at times there will absolutely be cars passing. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but there is plenty of space. I live on a 20-foot wide road, and we've got people parked on it when they shouldn't be, and cars get around just fine. And in those very, very rare circumstances where we're trying to get 3 vehicles past when somebody is illegally parked, which I'm sure will never, ever happen on any street in Easthampton, that there's adequate sight distance. And we say that there's a curve, but it's a very open curve, and it's very clear. We don't have any meaningful vegetation that would obstruct a driver's view in that area.
You've indicated that road is a private road.
Yes.
Of which the condo association is responsible, including the paving and maintenance.
Correct.
And that's going to be in the document, the master deed, as you call it.
Absolutely.
One of my concerns usually with this type of thing is that we get a chance to see that.
Yes.
But I understand sometimes it's not possible. So based on what you're saying, I'm getting the sense that you'll be coming back before us.
I anticipated that. I mean, I would be delighted to be approved in a single meeting, but would be very atypical for a development like
You also
this.
mentioned you're working on a stormwater management plan.
No, the stormwater is 100%
So
done
when
and
I saw
submitted.
it's final.
Yes, that is final.
The swept path, I think, is
Swept path.
It is the swept path that I need to adjust. So that will, in all likelihood, adjust a little bit of the pavement geometry. That's another reason why I wouldn't anticipate approval in the very first meeting.
And do you think the master deed is something that might be done?
I'm not the spearhead on that. I mean, did you have a sense?
I didn't understand, I couldn't hear.
When do you think the master deed might be available, or at least a draft?
Well, we started working on it, so probably in a couple weeks or something.
So it sounds like before the next meeting,
Yeah, we can-
depending on that schedule, we would be able to provide, ideally not the day of the meeting, because it's, master deeds are terrible things to read, in my opinion, but they do have a lot of very important information that govern the governance of the property.
No, you keep going, whatever you got. Yeah.
Please.
Well, hold on.
No.
Hold on, we got a question.
Oh.
If you're gonna speak, if I could just get you to come up to the
Yeah,
microphone of the podium here.
It goes into the record when you're here.
So I was just going to clarify with these types of developments, there's usually a master deed and then there's also an association document that
Yeah.
is separate from the master deed. And that's where I think a lot of the things that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. So are you presenting both a master deed and a homeowners association document? Are they both separate, or are you doing all in one, or what's
Well, we're working on both right now.
okay.
The thing I was gonna add, Bucky did a great job of saying everything that's gonna happen. I see some of my neighbors here. On the north side, there's all the trees we're gonna plant. There's also some fencing involved there as well. And, Bucky mentioned there's solar on the barn currently, with a 400 amp service, and we're gonna have 2 charging stations for electric cars there.
Thank you.
It's not a brief one.
Okay, any questions for you folks at this point? No, all right, with that, we'll open it up to some public comments. So if you have anything to ask or offer, you could come up to the podium. I don't know if we have a lot of people online or not. We might have to switch back and forth. Remember, if you have questions or anything, direct them to us. We can then talk to the applicant about getting them answered, but keep the communication through the board. And name and address when you start. And we'll see. Hopefully we can just sort of let people say what they need to say and not have to put time limits on or anything, but try not to be too repetitive. Please, come on down. That's right.
Come on down.
Can I just close? Jody Kirshner, Oak Ridge Circle. Hi, we're here to discuss the proposed development at 132, 134 West Street, a project as an abutter I'm opposed to. In the current plan, there doesn't appear to be any indications or plans for the trees that surround the area. What is the intention for them? There are wildlife and their habitats that live in those areas. Where would they go? The trees create a privacy screen for all abutters to this property. Per zoning ordinance 8.67C, all residential structures within the development shall be set back of at least 50 feet in width, which should include trees and kept in a natural or landscaped condition. And zoning ordinance 867B states wherever possible, existing trees and vegetative cover shall be conserved and integrated into the landscape design. The land and trees act to absorb the rainfall and serve as a natural flood protector. And with climate change, we are seeing very heavy rainstorms. With the proposed development, where is that water supposed to go? How will this water be diverted and channeled away from current homes? Will it now flood basements because of this diversion of water? With the proposed development, we have significant privacy concerns. We potentially will have multiple headlights as well as streetlights coming into our windows. Is there a lesser amount of trees? But we also have to deal with the noise pollution as well. I know you mentioned the Conservation Commission has been notified and what will happen to the current water conservation area, but I think that got addressed. With the increase in water, sewage, and electrical usage, how will the current infrastructure handle that? Will it be supportable and sustainable? Is West Street ready to handle this? If this does pass, the construction noise in and of itself will be significantly intrusive to our daily lives. The parcel area per dwelling unit, which is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, typically requires 37,000 square feet of parcel area per dwelling unit for multifamily considerations. And to my research, it appears that there are requirements for an R35 district. I'm not an engineer, but these required dimensions and yard setbacks for one family detached year-round dwelling or any other permitted principal use in the R35 districts is as follows. Minimum lot area, 35,000 square feet. Minimum lot width, frontage 120 feet. Minimum front setback, 50 feet. Minimum side yard setback, 20 feet. Minimum rear side back, 50 feet. We don't want a concrete jungle in our backyards. We are also concerned that this project will reduce our property values. With all this in mind, we are opposed to the development at the property located at 132, 134 West Street. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okey-dokey.
The applicant like to respond to any of those now? You want to wait or?
I'm happy to do that at
Sure.
this point. Other fresh. I jotted down a couple of points. One was to start off with trees around the development. I did indicate that all of the perimeter trees are remaining, and we are thickly supplementing them with evergreen species around the perimeter, as well as adding a variety of deciduous and ornamental trees throughout the development. We are taking out about 50 trees About half of those are nearly dead apple trees at this point. Putting in 132 new trees and almost 200 other herbaceous specimens. So we're actually going to see a large increase to the biodiversity as well as the screening from the neighbors for things like headlights and viewscapes. There's a question about basement flooding. 100% of the impervious area is going to be infiltrated into the earth. So compared to, because the region is very deep, dry sand, as the testing shows, we have the unusual ability to capture all of the water, even from the 100-year storm, and infiltrate all of that into the earth. That is not the current condition. So, which means that we are improving groundwater recharge with this project by significant tens of thousands of cubic feet of water for the larger storms. And we are decreasing by tens of thousands of cubic feet the amount of water that flows over the surface into Hannum Brook, and then would potentially contribute to downstream flooding effects.
Sorry to interrupt, can you just generally talk, I mean, we've read the stormwater plan, but the public necessarily hasn't. So can you just give a general overview of sort of how that water is going to be captured on site?
Yes. So in this particular case, all of the impervious area, the roofs, the driveways, the road, all drain into the road. The road has curbs, gutters, catch basins. So that water flows into those catch basins, is conveyed down to, it's called Ford Technical Separation Unit, water quality unit. It's a way to clean turbidity and garbage, trash, and oil out of the water before sending it off site. So this is it's a maintenance thing. It's part of it'll be part of the association's responsibility, like all of the utilities, to maintain this infrastructure. It's something that very few homes in the city actually have, as far as making a benefit to the downstream environment. From after the water is cleaned, it is sent to a big deep hole in the ground, effectively. And because we have many feet of good dry sand, we're able to soak all of that clean water back into the groundwater. Right now, it's running off and going into Hannum Brook. So less water is going to go downstream, more water is going to go into the aquifer. Both two trends that are significantly improved by this development.
Thank you. Let's see what else. Lighting. Can you talk a little about lighting on site?
Except for lights mounted on buildings like porch lights, no light is proposed for the development. So if you were north of the site, I don't think there's a single light that you can see. If you are east of the site, I don't think there'll be, maybe back, if people have a back porch light, all right, there might be a back porch light that you will see.
Are these all downward shielded, downward?
100% dark sky compliant, downward shielded lights.
And not leaving the property?
No, they barely leave their yard.
Yeah. What's that?
You probably have it on your list.
What's that?
Well, one of the questions that was addressed that I'd love to hear is the building timeline, the construction timeline. And I'd like to hear things about, keeping dust to a minimum, fencing during construction, anticipated vibrations during construction.
Sure. Well, building anything, roads, houses, additions, swimming pools, it makes a bit of a disturbance for a temporary basis. So we're not going to pretend that's not going to happen. The entire perimeter of the site will be surrounded by sediment logs. Even though the water doesn't go uphill, we're still surrounding the entire property with sediment logs. There will be multiple sediment basins around the property. The soil is very sandy, which is fortunate for not just stormwater purposes, but also sand generates very little dust. If dust becomes an issue for an extended dry period of time, it is absolutely possible to come in with a water truck, dampen down, and reduce that impact on the neighborhood. As far as timeline, it's a little difficult for an engineer to predict. Generally, contractors work best to get in and get out. This project is with the buried utilities and the roads. It's probably a couple of months worth of time of a contractor if they get out there and get it done. The building of houses may or may not happen all at the same time. It may be moved out over time. I'm not sure that's exactly understood right now. Most developments usually kind of have to, they get 2 or 3 built right away, but then the others come up more slowly. Building a house is a multi-month process, if anybody who's done it. So, you're looking at, they bang right through it. The site work is usually the worst, where they're out there digging the holes and putting in pipes, and they got the machines that go beep, beep, beep. I hate those machines. However, that is a necessary and of course improved safety part of the world. So that work will be for each and every house. Really talking a week per house for what I consider the annoying stuff. And then the house structure occurs in the interior work, which is generally not a nuisance to the neighborhood.
So it's gonna happen over time?
Yes,
A few houses at a time,
I anticipate that. Unless,
potentially over what time?
Mindy, do you have any idea over what kind of build out this might occur?
The planning department told me we have 2 years. If we get approved to start building, talked about doing road first, and then however it takes 8 months to build a house. But anything I'm planning is any of the inside stuff happens in the winter, right? So the house goes up as quickly as it can and is finished in the winter time for a spring sale.
That is summarized into the record because she wasn't at the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, you don't have to get up and down every time. The whole, once after the permit is in place, the idea is that, you know, before it expires within two years, that the primary infrastructure gets installed. And I believe that could happen in as little as 2 months if things go well, we got good weather, et cetera. If it rains for a month, obviously, you know, all bets are off. Construction is very much like that. Houses do take half a year, 3/4 of a year to build. Most of that time is, you know, interior and relatively non-nuisance work.
And there was some mention about the utilities. I know you addressed the sewer a little bit during your presentation, but can you just talk about sort of the process and then the potential impact on the city with utilities?
Sure. Well, I was out looking at the sewer manhole. It is a terminal sewer manhole. It has 2 houses going into it. So as far as the capacity of the local collector system, we could probably put another 2,000 or 3,000 homes onto that pipe. So there's lots of capacity within the collection system. The DPW had no issues with the additional flow. We are talking, it's 14 units, but they're existing units now. So really it's about a dozen homes worth of flow, which is a very, very small change increase to any wastewater treatment system. It's not zero, but it is also not a lot. In terms of the sewer, while there's a 12-inch, there are 2 water mains in the street, but the big one, the newer one, is the one we'll be tapping into, provide better pressure, better fire flow as well. Electric communications, internet, that stuff is going to get buried, so we don't have overhead poles or wires around. And I don't believe there's gas service planned for the property. Yes. No.
Any other questions or comments from the public?
I thought my
If you're gonna, please come to the microphone, sorry.
No, I don't. Just a quick question is, my understanding is with new streets that there has to be streetlights associated with them. Is that not true?
I don't believe that's required for a private way, but
Yeah, so just to clarify, because it came up earlier too, the subdivision regulations don't actually apply to this. The city's not incorporated into the subdivision regulations that these types of developments have to comply, and there isn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Any other comments or questions in the room? Anybody online? Raise a virtual hand. Oh, yeah, so we got an actual hand. Beautiful.
Yeah, I guess, I'm, Jim Laughley, 118 West Street, just north of this project. Our property abuts it. It just seems like there's a lot of units packed into a small space for this kind of zoning, for the neighborhood we live in. It's not a high density neighborhood. We have large lots, we have a lot of space, and this seems like it's gonna pack a lot of units into a small space. So I'm not really excited about it. Also, I noticed in the traffic analysis, there isn't any traffic record from MassDOT or the city on West Street. I really think the city or MassDOT really needs to do traffic analysis on West Street itself, because it gets 2 to 3 times more traffic than Loudville Road, which there is a thing. So I just think that needs to be done before anything else gets done on West Street.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? as we discussed, we will be continuing this, to the next meeting, so there will be another opportunity if people think of anything. Oh, we have a hand online. Great.
Get a mouse pad.
Okay, well, there it is. It wasn't.
Oh.
So Taylor should be able to.
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Ken, name and address, please.
My name's Taylor. I live at 97 Glendale, right around the corner. I wanted to just say I really appreciate the thoroughness of this presentation and the project. I didn't know a ton about it coming in because I've been a bit busy, but I really appreciate seeing everything that's planned and what's being proposed here. I think that this is a great lot size for this many homes. Mindy's done a good job of planning it all out, and I would love to see this in the neighborhood.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions in the room or online? All right, so before we continue this, let's just try to summarize what we're looking for at the next meeting. We're hoping to get more. We're gonna get the sweat path analysis. We're gonna have more detail on the condo association and the operations and maintenance plan. I think we'll probably dive in a little bit on the 2 waiver requests too. We can wait and talk about that at the next meeting. Anything else from the planning board that we can at least prep them on? All right, I'm sorry, yeah, planning department.
I just want to clarify because it's a question we all need to answer in the public meeting. The subdivision waiver request, I don't.
Oh, because they don't actually apply. So fair, okay.
Yeah, that's why I haven't, I mean, there are other similar developments that have longer.
Yeah.
delays, but-
That makes sense why those haven't come up.
Yeah,
Okay.
there, so to, in Bucky's defense, there are communities that do require subdivision standards for
Small and multifamily,
developments
yeah.
like this. It's just not included.
Okay.
Should I withdraw the waiver request?
Is that for both the 700-foot extension? Is that both?
And the road.
Yes, they both come
Yes.
from the subdivision.
I don't think you need to formally withdraw it.
Okay.
We can grant it or not grant it. It won't matter. It won't be applicable to you.
Yeah, but I will say that, the ordinance requires. I jotted it down. It requires that access, utilities and drainage have to be functionally equivalent to what is required by the subdivision control regulations.
So while it's not a waiver, we would have to make a finding that the proposal is functionally equivalent.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we'll dive into those topics a little more at the next meeting. So based on those items, is 2 weeks sufficient for the applicant?
Or would you need to skip one more so you have more time to put the documents together?
I know I would be okay. I'm not certain if the documents would be available. Would it be safer to wait 4
I mean,
weeks?
You know me, it's been a year.
Yeah,
Let's
well,
move it on.
if you were writing those docs, I think they would be ready tomorrow.
Thank you.
I know that
Yes.
legal support is
First
necessary.
We're in process of that, so.
Yeah, it's in the motions that are under.
We'll get it drafted at the very least. Okay, yeah, I think we can be ready in 2 weeks.
Drafted motions now.
Bear with us just 1
Hmm.
second. I know you're working on getting an answer.
So yeah, so the next meeting would be September 1st. And if we didn't do that, we would be the 15th. So I'll defer to people that have homework on whether you want to try to get it done by the 1st.
All night cramming, I love it. I believe we will be ready by the 1st.
Okay.
A motion to continue the public hearing for 132 and 134 West Street to September 1st. Is that what we said at 6 p.m.?
Second.
All right, voting to continue to September 1st. Oh,
We made a motion. I just want one.
oh,
Might be too late, but it's up to you.
Let- we can hear comment before we vote on the motion.
Sure.
Is there one more public comment? You want to do it tonight? Come on down.
Sorry, I didn't raise my hand quick enough.
No problem. You were just under the wire.
Thanks. Tom Brown, member EDIC. Just to be clear, EDIC does not typically meet in August, so we've not had a chance to review any of these projects that you're working on. And that would come under the heading of a very full plate for you folks. But as you know, the EDIC has been a long supporter of additional housing units here in the city. Additional units can help to stabilize housing prices and provide additional taxes to the city. So you might hear me say this a few times tonight, but providing this project meets all the planning board requirements and conditions, I believe this would be a good project for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right, so we have a pending motion to continue this to September 1st at 6 with a second, I believe. So all those in favor of the continuance? Aye. Opposed, abstaining. All right, so we'll be back on the 1st with more opportunity if people have other questions or comments as well. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yes. All right, so moving right along to the next item on our agenda is 336 Main Street. Is there someone here to speak to that project?
Hi, my name is Terry Reynolds from T Reynolds Engineering. I'm here representing Naresh Patel. Patel is proposing to build a 12-unit apartment house, 336. That's the way I want. There you go. And share my screen. Bear with me.
Sure.
And share my screen. Looks good. There it is. Okay.
Cadillac service today.
It's
like, I looked at the A&R agency. It's trying to do this great whole memo.
We've never been treated this well. It's white glass.
He set the bar. Okay.
Do you need? Yes, we can help you. Is it a PDF that you want to share? Okay. So, just open up well, stop sharing first of all. Yeah, stop sharing. And now when you click the share, I want to share a window and then select the PDF. It might just take a second.
It'll just be a moment. We're working on the technicalities here.
Make sure. Yeah. And so let's look at yeah. Be out there in the dark to see close through it. First for me. You pull out a little bit. I would imagine them. I feel like so there are 3 lines of flying by.
See that solar eclipse we had just 2 days ago?
Missed it.
No.
Is it, so it's in a tab, I'm
I
seeing,
missed
is
it,
it,
too.
is that Adobe that you're in?
Fully eclipsed.
Very strange. I think.
I mean, I
maybe
told you
it's
to look at it, but I didn't
on
get
your-
to it.
Saying it's failing.
So I can pull up
Maybe next
the
Yeah,
plans.
yeah,
and
if you
just tell
print
me
up the
which you
plans,
want it on and I'll.
Let's start with the existing conditions, just to figure it out.
Taking control.
Yes.
We're doing so low. Like that tonight.
It's the challenges with different laptops.
Oh, I know. We just like to keep you on your toes, Terry.
Yeah. It's all right. There we go. So since we're doing it this way, is it okay if I? just
Yeah,
present
can you
from
do
there?
it on that one so that you
Sure.
can be near the microphone at least?
Yeah, let's go to the existing conditions.
I
It's
wanna
gonna be
face the
sheet
microphone.
3, I believe.
So that the public can still hear you.
That's the site. There we go. So this is 336 Main Street here. And this is what you're seeing. So it's the second house from South Street going south on Main Street. It's currently a multifamily house in disrepair. And we've gone through the demolition waiting period for it. Now they're going to demolish the house. It's not a great house at all. So basically, it's an existing house on basically the north side of the site. The south side of the site is lawn with some existing pine trees, and you know, sort of a semi-fenced yard. It has a paved driveway, an asphalt paved driveway that ends in a large driveway.
Speak up.
So the site's basically a residential site, and we're going to convert it to an apartment building. It'll be a 3-story, 12-unit building. And why don't we go to the layout plan? So it's an L-shaped building with parking on the north side and the east side. This will have handicap parking in front of the building off a 24-foot driveway coming off of Main Street. The parking spaces, we're asking for a slight reduction so that parking spaces are 9 by 18 rather than 9 by 20. This saves in impervious area, plus for this kind of use, a 20-foot space is more than needed for typical parking. So as I said before, it has standard handicap accessibility. It'll have entrances both in the parking area and in the front of the building and a sidewalk that comes out to the driveway. There is no sidewalk out on Main Street. It's not possible to connect it to the existing due to the existing site at 334. There's not a way to run a sidewalk across that building, in front of that building. So at this point, we're not proposing a sidewalk out front along the roadway. This plan proposes plantings all the way around the site on the north side and east side. We're asking a waiver of putting plantings on the south side due to the proximity of the building. Instead, we're proposing stockade fence for privacy, a 6-foot stockade fence. On the east side, there's an existing stockade fence for the condominiums that are on that side. And the applicant is working with them to come up with a single fence that works for both uses. This plan, unfortunately, currently doesn't include evergreens, so we will be changing the landscape plan to include 50% evergreens on these two edges, abutting that. Otherwise, we have lawn areas and some deciduous trees in various locations. We have a dumpster, an enclosed dumpster area here in the parking lot, so that trash truck will come in, pick it up, and then back out. This is going to be a planted courtyard that hasn't been determined yet what that will be, but that would be an additional green space. As I said, it's a 12-unit building. 11 will be 2-bedroom units. 1 will be a single bedroom unit. And then we can go on to the next page. Grading plan.
This is the updated grades.
That's the current one.
This is the August issue.
Yep. So grading plan includes a subsurface infiltration system, chambers, with a water quality treatment plan planned for runoff coming off of the driveway. All the roof will be routed directly into the subsurface system. Very little water will be running off this site. Under the existing condition, the water all runs to the southeast corner. With a developed condition, there'll only be a small band on the southern perimeter that will run off to the low point. This is a low point that runs basically all along the backyards of the adjacent houses in this area. It's basically flat. The soils out here are all sand. So typically nothing's running off anyways, except for frozen conditions or really large storm events. So this will handle up and including a 100-year event in the subsurface system. That's our water and sewer. Sewer is going to come out to sewer manhole out here. We have water that's shown here, and actually there's a 12-inch line on the other side that's not shown, which is what DPW would prefer this to be connected to, so this will extend across the roadway further on. We have electric coming off the pole, coming back with the transformer here, and coming back to meters all the way in the back of the building currently. For lighting on this site, there are 2 poles proposed, one here and one here. They're 20-foot poles. They're cut off so that there's no spillover to the adjacent properties. They're all dark sky compliant, and they're basically set up for basic safety lighting, nothing more. Then there are stoop lights for each of the entryways also at this point. So that's pretty much it. So I looked it up for you guys. Oh, actually, we do have an elevation if you should have. So as I said and showed on the plans, it's an L-shaped building. This is a view from Main Street here. So you'll see that, basically 3 windows and entrance here. This portion is bumped out slightly. This is a view from in the parking lot. So you have a green space here, entries on both sides of that center grayed out area, and then an elevator shaft. But that's what that top end and access to the roof there. And then similarly, we have a view from the south. And then this is what it would look like from the east. And this one's a little confusing because the southeast one is broken into two pieces. I'm not sure why the architect set it up that way. But that's it.
All right, any questions from planning board? James? Oh, Harry? James is talking now.
Yeah, how many parking spots do you have for this?
25.
And that was with 2 handicapped, is that right?
Yes, including two handicaps.
That's extraordinary. And you got 12 units, right?
Yep.
And you got 25 spots?
Yep.
Yeah.
James?
I only have a few dozen questions. Let's start with the, it's a state highway, right?
Yes.
And so to go all the way through the road, are you going to be involving, what involvement does the state play in your?
We need to obtain a curb cut permit from the state. So that's in process.
What permit?
It's a curb cut.
And
Any driveways on the state highway, you have to alterations or new, you gotta get a curb cut.
Terry, if you pull that microphone back towards you now, it might help. There you go.
Sorry.
No.
Will they also be doing?
Hold on. We'll do questions later. Thank you.
So can you tell me a little bit about the actual, and I know it's different than the curb cut permit, but the actual curb cut and the line of sight going left and right, and also about the sidewalk that's not going to be there. And I'd like to understand a little bit more about why it's not possible to put a sidewalk in.
So the variety store, we were in here, I don't know, 3 years ago for the variety store. And it's an existing store with a very difficult parking area in front that leaves no room for a sidewalk. When the state came through and did work, they further reduced the sidewalk, the parking out there. So it's the only parking for the variety store is in the front, and there's nowhere for them to go if there were to be a sidewalk.
Got it. All right, it's a space issue.
Yes.
And I think you said there's no sidewalk in the neighboring properties, the adjacent properties. Is that
No,
correct?
there's no sidewalks going south. There are sidewalks starting at South Street and going north.
All right. The reduction from 20 feet to 18 feet, you said was unnecessary. Is that correct?
Oh, that we're requesting a reduction to 18 feet from 20.
I want to make sure that that's a special waiver.
That's a
being
waiver
requested
request, yes.
for? Okay, I just want to make sure that is highlighted. You pointed out the dumpster. I'd like to ask about the construction timeline.
This is anticipated to be done within a year.
What about traffic?
So traffic is pretty minimal. Daily trips are about 80 trips per day. And at peak hours, we're talking 6 and 7, I believe.
Is any of that I don't recall seeing that. Do you remember?
There's
I
a
might
trip
get it.
generation report in
There's
it.
just a one in there. All right, let's double check that. So getting the two completed. Other
So basically, it translates to 80 trips a day with current traffic counts is 1%.
I want to go back a little to the construction. You said within a year. What are you going to do to deal with the same things I asked in the last project? Dust mitigation, vibrations,
Yeah, it has a standard track pad coming in and out of the site. Within the erosion control notes, it's noted that dust control is part of what they need to address. So this will be a situation where a water truck would be used if the dust starts getting dusty.
From the entire project built 1 year.
That's the intent, yes.
I am curious, just your first question, James, about the sight lines on the entrance and exit, because there's plantings proposed there, is that right?
The sight lines, yeah, the trees are set back enough that you're not going to have a sight line issue.
Is there any existing vegetation there now?
Not in the front, no.
What about the vegetation that you're removing? Are you taking any trees down in this project?
There are about 4 large pine trees.
Where are those?
They're right where the building's going.
They're all on the ground right
Hold-
now.
Hold on, hold on.
Oh. There are no longer any trees.
Hmm.
And can you talk a little bit, you mentioned a fence and another waiver for the vegetative screening. Could you talk a little bit what the fence will look like and again, why the vegetation doesn't make sense there too?
Well, so the setback on that southern side, one thing I did fail to tell you is that an A&R is being submitted to extend that southern boundary 10 feet. So it's only going to be 10 feet from the building to the property line. So if it did a standard fence with plantings, it would become essentially inaccessible to that side of the building. So that's why we're asking for that.
And what's the fence that's proposed though?
A stockade fence, and currently it's a white PVC, but I put in my most recent response that that'll be coordinated depending on what gets worked out with the abutters. So if everybody decides they want to go wood, then it'll be a wood stockade all the way around.
Have there been conversations with the butters?
Yes, yes.
I think there was a note from the planning, we should discuss grading.
With the grading of the site and the
Project, yeah.
has the stormwater been reviewed by the city engineer? It hasn't, is that right?
Yes, it has.
It has, okay. And
So our city engineer is on the extended leave.
Right.
We have a staff engineer that's not a licensed engineer. She's still
Okay.
licensure. She did look at it, but she's not able to do the same level of review that
Right.
the city engineer.
okay. You have a question, James?
Well, I'm relaying
Yeah.
the comments that were in here. There's a concern that the grading of the southern perimeters, steep grades like those proposed around the southern perimeter often lead to drainage issues on the abutting property. And I think you pointed out there were some in there that were going to run down to the south.
Yeah, there's a 3-to-1 slope around that perimeter. It's, I explained to her that, that's the 3-to-1 slope isn't going to increase the drainage. It's more of an erosion and stability concern. So as long as, there are proper erosion controls and matting if needed, in the note it does suggest that we need to put matting on anything 3-to-1 and greater. Other than that, the concern otherwise with that kind of grading isn't so much the slope, is that building up the site might be blocking drainage from going in a natural drainage path. However, all the drainage from this site is actually leaving the site and going to the southeast away from the slopes.
To the subsurface. Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
No.
Leaving the site but going to neighboring sites, right?
Yeah, the existing condition is that runoff goes to the southeast, and then it's a large, basically flat area that extends across the backyards of, I don't know, probably 3 houses over there. And it's essentially flat back there. So this development is not going to impact drainage patterns in the area at all. It's actually going to improve that because the drainage area that's actually contributing to that is reduced. So 100-year events, it's like 1.3 CFS. Under developed conditions, it's like 0.1. So,
Any other questions from the planning board at this point? All right, any members of the public, comments or questions? Please come right up.
Hello, my name is John Carney and I live at 64 South Street, which is the condominium to the east of this property. And I just wanted to comment, in the winter, there is a standing pool of water between 336 Main and the adjacent building. I might be 338. It's a White House, but it does pool there in the winter, and it's kind of a large area between the two units. So just a comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
please.
I'm Rosalind Helfand. I live at 64 South Street as well. So one thing I am concerned about, and Naresh and I did speak a bit, the fence behind our property. What's the maximum height that could be placed there? Because hearing this is 3 stories, we're gonna have, you know, a lot more coming in. Is that, I would like to know, you know, what that is, if you can't.
Maximum height here, I think it's 6. It might be 8.
Now, this is actually a neighborhood business
Oh.
zoning district, so it can go higher, but the height of the fence, if it's above 6 feet, it dictates how far off the property line it has to be. So if you have an 8-foot fence, it has to be 8 feet off the property line. So that does impact placement. And frankly, the site is being built up and then built on further, and the direction of view, a taller fence isn't going to make
That kind of block height, yeah.
difference in this.
I think it'll make a difference as I'm sitting out in the back. So what is the setback planned now from the fence to the, I don't know, is it the
On
building?
the side yard, it's, I think, 10 feet, and then on the back, I think it was 20. Is that right, Terry?
Not for the fence.
Oh, not for the fence, for the property line.
For the
building
building
setback.
setback.
I'm sorry, what are you asking for?
The setback from where our property is to where the new construction, I don't know, it's gonna be the building and some parking lot. How far away from us will it be?
Get that. I believe the parking lot is 10 feet.
Yes, the building is a little further than 10 feet, but the parking lot is 10 feet. And the side setback for the building is 10 feet. Front is 15. So I think the building, it looks like it's closer to 20 feet back.
The building, but then where the fencing is, that's parking lot that abuts.
There's a planting strip in front of the fencing.
I see.
Right now, the fencing's shown right along the property line.
Right, okay, so there'll be, all right, and just any question, one of the trees, maybe it's big enough, I don't know enough about how tree roots go. One of the trees, actually, 2 of them, were trimmed back, they were overhanging. If their roots are going to be cut in the process of constructing this, it very well might kill one or more of those trees. What kind of recourse do we have if that happens?
So these are trees on your property that you're
Yes.
concerned the roots extend
Yeah.
down below?
Yeah, they, one of them is on the other property, but they're right next to each other, one on ours and the other one just on the other side of the fence at the other property.
If it's on your property, it's your responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that we could do anything in a zoning context. I think if somebody damaged your tree, you might have your own options to pursue, but I don't think we could impact that part of it.
My recommendation would be to speak to the developer.
Yes, yeah, we
and try to
started
have a
the conversation. We started that. And yes, as far as John was saying about the drainage, we do get water.
Anybody else, comments or questions, please?
Hi, I'm Amy Markham at 329 Main Street. I live right at the corner of South and Main. I have a lot. I don't know whether, I don't know whether you want me to go through all of them.
Sure.
Okay. Just kind of as the conversation was going on, I did hear the part about, glad you're amused. I did hear the part about you saying that the drainage will not be a problem and that weight and things will not be a problem. And I'm certainly no engineer, but you're putting in a situation where we know that there's standing water from 2 other people. You're putting a tremendous amount of weight. And so I certainly wouldn't understand like the technical aspects of what that causes, but it's hard to imagine that that would help the situation. And I can say, just being diagonally across from this property, that I get standing water in my yard, not all the time, but when there's a big snowstorm or a big rainstorm. So the fact that the low points run off into the neighboring yard, that's not me, but that seems like a pretty significant concern. And 10 feet seems really close. I might be remembering incorrectly, but I thought that it was 15 feet that was required from a structure to a property line. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Sidewalk. I think everybody in this room probably knows that that intersection is a bad intersection. And I really learned it during the pandemic when I was working from home every day, and I would hear the crashes that happened. And the number of times that I have called the police, and other people are a lot quicker than I am. We have a great neighborhood that is really looking out for people, but there was just an accident, I think a week or 2 ago, that was a 3-car accident. And one thing that I noticed is that kids do walk along there going to school. So if you've got kids in an apartment complex who are coming out and trying to walk to either a bus stop, or they're going to turn down South Street if they're walking to the middle school, that seems like a pretty bad situation to me. Even if there's a bus stop right at the exit of the property, the sight lines they're just bad. You've got a 4-way intersection, you've got a convenience store, you've got a package store, then you've got the cars from this area where presumably a lot of people would be going to work around the time that kids are going out, going to school, and you've got a bus pulled over possibly. It just really seems pretty bad to me. Let me see, look at the rest of my notes from this presentation. I don't know what the trip report was, something about 80 something per day.
Yes.
What, I don't know what 80 what?
80 trips.
Trips, what, I don't know what a trip is.
Those are vehicle trips.
Trips
In a
like
day.
where?
Cars in and out of the
Of
site.
that place,
Yeah.
okay. Well, so there's probably more out of the convenience store, but it's just, I'm picturing somebody pulling out of the convenience store that maybe goes left as somebody's coming right out of here. And maybe you've got somebody turning from South Street, coming from the north onto Main Street headed south. It just seems like a lot of chaos into an already bad situation. Noise is another thing. So since I live across from one of those apartment complexes that's next to the package store, I can tell you that in the summer, when I have my windows open, most of the time, it's not a problem. But there are multiple times in the summer and occasionally in the winter that there are either gatherings or people coming home and they're really loud in the parking lot. Sometimes it's arguments and fights, and I've called the police from that. If I were living where you did, I don't think I'd want to be privy potentially to that in a pretty densely enclosed space. And I guess the other thing, just kind of given the other presentation that we heard about 132 West Street, kind of prompted some things for me to think about in regard to this project. But they talked about fire trucks getting in. If a trash removal truck has to back out, how does a fire truck get out from there? Like, can they do a 3-point turn in there? Are they backing out, or how does that work? And how does backing out work onto admittedly difficult intersection. So I, kind of hate to be a big time naysayer here. And it started for me with not really wanting more development diagonally across the street from my house. But I haven't even mentioned that because as I heard more, I just put together a list of things that seemed like really problematic.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
Would you be willing to come to the public hearing? I'm wondering, and because I think it'd be helpful if you'd be willing to do a layman's rendition of the stormwater management plan. Not heavy details. How does it work? I know that there's a little bit on the southern end that is still going to trickle over, but the rest you're saying is reduction. I don't think everyone's comprehending what they're doing.
So the vast majority of the site, the building, the parking lot, everything in front of the building is going into a subsurface infiltration system.
What is a subsurface infiltration?
So subsurface infiltration system is basically, with this one specifically, these are large concrete chambers that can hold a significant amount of water. So the water goes into those chambers and then it infiltrates into the ground from there. So the way this is set up is basically, under the existing condition, there's nothing that controls the runoff. And so that ponding that you may have noticed out there, that's contributed to from the entire lot. Now, the only thing that's going to run off is that small strip, 10-foot strip on the southern edge of the property. So it's, and as I explained earlier, when we do the stormwater calculations, we look at that's a design point. That's where it currently all goes, is that southeast corner. Now, under the developed condition, that design point's still there, but we evaluate what's going there after development as opposed to before development. And so that's getting reduced by like 90–95% of what's running off the site to that portion of the neighborhood.
So the
rest is
proposed
getting
work will significantly reduce the amount of water that's running off into the other.
Correct.
Would you be willing, Allison, to move your mouse over the stormwater retention, the basin there? So that's the area underneath the lot where these basins are.
Correct.
And are going to have to be maintained.
Yes, and that's why it has a water quality unit in front of it to make sure that it's not getting filled up with debris and sediment and so on. The water quality unit has a maintenance program where it's cleaned out twice a year. It does have an oil water separator in it also in case of a spill. That's basically how those work. It's pretty straightforward system. You could compare it to a gigantic glorified septic system. Huge water body.
Yes, one more question.
Sure.
And I should have asked this earlier. How is this managed? Is this essentially going to be sold as rentals or condominiums?
These are rentals.
Rentals, okay.
Yes.
So there's going to be a manager on site?
Yes. Well, no, not on site. Naresh has a management company and they will be managing the building.
And what are their responsibilities?
Well, I ask you to come up and talk.
Naresh Patel from 8 Kingsbury. I don't know what you're asking about management, but once you have a rental property, is the management like landscaping, snow plowing, maintenance, routine maintenance. I have a management company in Easthampton on Northampton Street, and I have 6 people on the staff. So we manage quite a few apartments in Easthampton, and I think we don't have nothing more than 24 hours, more than any maintenance request. So we manage very well property here in Easthampton.
Thank you. And then I would make one other comment, not to you, sir. Thank you for your time. That there was a comment about fights and domestic stuff there. That's would remain a police issue, not anything else. You have to call the cops for that. That's all I have to say.
Any other comments or questions from the public? Yes.
My name is Donna Geis, and I actually live right across the street at 337. Traffic is my biggest concern there. I can't imagine putting any more cars onto that road and having cars back out onto that road. It's deadly as it is. There's, like she said, there's a car accident or two every week. It's crazy, crazy. And I did have a question. What is going to be in the front of that complex? I can't quite see it from where I was.
On the landscape plan, you see the circles there?
Yep.
Those are trees,
Mhm.
and then the remainder of it's just grass.
Okay, what about the absolute front?
And it's grass right to the curb.
Nothing, no privacy at all.
No, it's open. You need sight distance coming out of the driveway.
Okay,
Um,
because I have a little bit of an issue with that, with a third, with 3 floors on that. People are going to look right into my house 24/7. 24/7. I'm not a big fan. Just saying.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions, please?
Rosalind Helfand, 64 South Street. I was being selfish before. The traffic issue. You've got people coming from Southampton at 40 miles an hour or higher. Speed limit's 35, but they're coming off of 40 and they come through the intersection and they're still going 35 or 40 when the speed is lowered. And if you have to make, so you're making 2 intersections there. You've got the one that exists that creates problems, and now you're making another one. You're going to have cars also going left and right. Is it 100 feet away from the intersection? I think it's a real problem.
Thank you. Please.
Amy Markham again, just want to pick up on your comment about the traffic. It's unbelievable what people do on the South Street stop signs. When they stop, they will peel out. The noise is like, not everybody does it, but it's so loud. And I'm sure that the people in your development who are close to South Street hear it as they absolutely gun it across the intersection. And I mean, if there's a police car that ever just goes and sits there for a few hours, someday they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Most people go around the corner or across normally, but there are plenty of people who don't. And if somebody peels out around the corner like that, they see an opening and they just floor it around that corner. So you just jogged my memory on that issue. Thank you.
Anybody else, please?
Again, Tom Brown, member EJC. Again, at our September meeting, I'm confident that you would get a letter from us in support of this project, providing that it meets all of the planning board requirements and conditions. Again, the benefits for the city are additional housing, which hopefully helps to stabilize housing prices, apartment rental prices, and taxes to the city. The difference with this project, I believe, is it probably meets the definition of infill. So unlike other projects, it's not taking over open space or forest land. It's sort of filling in where space is already existing. So again, I hope in September that EDIC would get you some letters of support for the multiple projects that you're facing. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Lisa, I'm 355 Main Street at the condos across the street. That 10-foot buffer behind the building, I'm not sure how long the building is. Is that a legal escape for fire? You need to have a front exit, a rear exit. Is 10 feet against a fence enough space for a family to go out the back door and not be involved in a fire if the building's on fire in any section?
So that will be fire code and not zoning, but I think the
Yeah.
fire department had no comments or concerns with the plan. So they would have looked for that presumably, but yeah.
Again, everyone said the traffic is just not acceptable. I really thought that they would have put an exit or an entrance on South Street. Apparently that infringes on the store. I don't know. There should not be an exit or an entrance on Main Street. 3 stories is too high. Is that proposed 35 feet in height?
Terry, what's the full height?
It's on the art elevation plan. I'm not sure with that, doorway at the top.
Because the elevator building was staffed,
That was another question. There's an elevator in this building?
Yes.
so that'll be the highest point that is an elevator.
And how many units are handicap accessible if there's 2 handicap parking spots?
We haven't talked about the interior as of yet.
There is a minimum.
We'll double check the parking.
As far as trees and plantings go, I think everyone knows unless you have someone on site watering them daily, they dry up. The little plantings in the middle of the parking lots and the islands, they just turn to gravel and dirt. The trees die. Even if you put a sprinkler system in, the town normally has a ban on water. So unless you've got someone there maintaining the vegetation, it's just gonna turn into dirt. It's not gonna be pretty. I think the whole thing will be an eyesore. Not to mention the worst, the traffic.
Thank you.
42-foot peak at the top of the elevator.
It's pretty tall.
Any other comments or questions?
It is so clear.
My name is Joan Welch and I live in Carroll, which is behind Main Street. I had some questions. First of all, what is the minimum setback for buildings from property lines of this type? Second one, what is the design storm for the stormwater system? Is it a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year? 100 year, okay, that's impressive. And I would recommend that you consider maybe having a pedestrian access through to South Street from that corner of the property to help with pedestrian activity if you can't have a sidewalk out front. And I think it is a really difficult site to put in a sidewalk out on Main Street, but really would be important and useful to have an access to some pedestrian routes off of South Street. And I would agree with Lisa that perhaps, you know, if you could redirect the traffic onto South Street, since the owner owns the property that is adjacent, it might solve some of the traffic issues. So what is the setback?
R35.
No, this is neighborhood business. It's 15 in the front, 10 on the sides, and 20 in the rear.
So that those are the minimum requirements.
Yes.
Great.
And
Thank
this
you.
complies.
Thank you.
Is it all right if I ask Terry before we
Please.
continue? I have to admit, I really like that idea of the pedestrian access going through the other way to South Street.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility? Is that something that you and your client would consider?
I'm sure Naresh would have to think about it, but I would imagine
I
that's
don't know, we have to think about it, which way, I mean, we can figure out something, but I don't wanna say yes right now, and then say like, wait a minute, you.
Yeah, I mean, I think
So
we're
we have to think about it, which way able to be, but my understanding is this,
Thank you.
like, that there is a no pedestrian after the South Street, I mean, even before the South Street, Easthampton border is done right there. So that intersection half is in Easthampton. If I'm right, the half goes to the state. And traffic issue, yeah, since I owned that business in 2000 or 1999, I see many accidents, yes. So even 25 years ago, there is the same incidents happening again and again. So it's nothing new. Well, we need a traffic light. That's going on for again, on and on and on. It's not possible right now. It's not like this project adding a lot. Yes, definitely 80 trip adding per day. But it's not like the traffic issue what we have right now on Main Street or anywhere in Easthampton. Even when we're building at the 47 Goddard Street, that's a small lot and we have a 23 apartment here on 47 Goddard Street. And there is a 3 commercial space, which is I think close to be 4,500, 5,000 square feet. And we have a 33 parking spot, but that's going on Goddard Street. That street even a lot smaller than Main Street. There is an issue, yes, there is an issue in the town every corner. It's not just on Main Street or South Street. You go on Union Street, you go on like Northampton Street, everywhere is traffic. So I don't know, but I definitely would think about it. We can add the maybe sidewalk. It's not a big issue, but we have to be checked where we can use that.
Yeah.
Because it's the front of the college highway. There is some years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago, state comes up and they put the big curb cut. So I think until I feel like in 2014 or 15, there is a no curb cut. So we able to be parked 6 cars in the front of the store. So but since they put that, we lost that couple spot over there. When the town want to put the bigger sidewalk on South Street, then they use some of my land from 334 Main Street. So we lost, I think, 2 or 3 parking spots over there on a South Street, which is not easy access either. People backing up, I understand that. Maybe soon I might be closing the store and putting maybe 4 apartment more there. So there is a less people coming in convenience store and out, maybe like 150. I'm not sure. Maybe 200 customer comes a day rather than maybe 4 apartment, only like 6 people coming in and out. That might be reduce the traffic.
So I think we're obviously not gonna be able to vote tonight. We've got a couple things. It sounds like an amendment to the landscape plan, and we've got a couple issues here. I think it's worth it to spend some time talking to the abutters and thinking about this. I mean,
I talked to my brother.
Yeah, no, I know you've had conversations, but I think we've heard tonight, right? There's been discussion about the fence height and the vegetative screening. There might be some wiggle room there. Some form of pedestrian access, whether it's sidewalk or through South Street. I think the drainage sounds like a concern. I'm only nervous about it because we haven't been able to really get a full peer review from the city, but it sounds like that's a concern that maybe there's something else that could be done to be, even more out in front of that so that we can all feel comfortable voting for that and the neighbors can feel comfortable about the project. But I think we're gonna have at least another 2-week continuance. So I would just let that, think about those things, think about what you can do to sort of get people a little more on board, address some of these concerns so that we can feel a little more comfortable with it too. Gary?
In regard to the access going across the variety store, that already went through permitting. It has a parking lot that is specifically for those tenants.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether there's available room to actually route something through.
That would definitely have to
not
be part
an
of it. Yeah,
access.
part of the analysis would have to be what that permit specifically said and, if there could be a pedestrian easement or I have no idea about that.
Yeah,
That was
it's just
a while ago.
that there's parking over there. There's,
Well, and
that's
routing
also-
people through an active parking lot, that may not be feasible either. But I think
No, right.
we're dealing with a tight footprint here on both parcels and a tricky intersection. I think even Naresh, we can acknowledge this is a tricky intersection. And so there might be a way to be creative and address some of these issues because
I like the idea. If we could get an access through that back parking lot, it's low use, in general.
Right.
But I'm just concerned with our previous permit, whether
I'm just throwing it out there. Usually James beats me to this, but we love when neighbors are, can sort of buy in, change is hard, but like there might be pros and cons. And so I think, the more that everyone in this room can sort of try to get on the same page and address like the really tough stuff. Because all these things are things that are going to be hard. They're hard if you live there. You're putting in a 3-story building. There's no doubt that's going to have an impact on the neighborhood, right? And so, like, what can be done to mitigate that, and at least address some of the safety / potential flooding? Like, those are the things that are going to be more in the catastrophic realm than.
Yeah, the flooding. I'm very, that it's not.
Like I said, I just get nervous when there's existing flooding concerns and
Yeah.
you know, normally I would have a city engineer sign off with a full opinion and it's easy for me to just say they know what they're doing. It's a little harder when we're reading the applicant's report and, you know, so it's the only reason I'm giving a little bit of grain of salt there and I'm just giving you a heads up that that might be something, maybe we could do something else.
One thing I would like to mention in terms of the fencing is there is a requirement of 3 feet setback on that. And when it comes to the abutting property, you know, is there leeway when we work with the neighbors to keep it, like the neighbor's fence is pretty much right on the property line. If this gets set, if we end up with one fence that's set 3 feet back, I don't know that it's a big deal, but it does reduce the amount of vegetation that you're going to be able to put there. And then it leaves maintenance to the neighbors on their side of the fence, which is off their property. So,
I mean, I think that's all stuff I think you folks can talk about. And if you come together and there's something that we can do that would help in the form of the permit or a condition or something like that, like we would be all ears. But there's a lot of nuance here and we're trying hard to make this work. And I get that, but I just think the more we can sort of think about everyone that's already there, the better it'll be. So, yep. Okay, I'm sorry, got to push. We have hundreds of thousands of people watching at home and they won't be able to hear you if you're not talking into the microphone.
What is the minimum number of people who can live, or I should say the maximum number of people who can live in a 2-bedroom apartment? And what is the maximum number of people who can live in a 1-bedroom apartment?
I'm not sure if that's governed by zoning.
I think it's broken out that way.
Yeah, it's not based on occupants.
For
unrelated people in a unit? Is that? Thank you.
I don't know if you all heard what Allison just said there.
No.
No.
Building and sanitary code dictate occupancy.
Okay, so.
So what is it?
Please.
We handle the zoning code, just to be clear, that's our narrow purview, not all the other code.
And is an ongoing obligation for people regardless of the permit. So like health department, building department, all of those things are ongoing obligations for every building in the city. So it's not a condition of the permit. It's something that at any given time, if there are too many people in an apartment, that would be a violation. They would be subject to whatever penalties there are for that, but it's not governed by zoning. Please.
I keep thinking about 12 units. That's 12 cars, one per unit. That's not counting visitors, service people. It's not going to be just 12 cars coming in and out of that lot. And my concern is the traffic in and out. It's in the 12 sticks in my mind as 12, but 24 is more like it. So just
thank you. Anything before we vote? You can, yep.
Everyone on this side is getting their steps.
I know.
I don't think we have a busing issue here because that location is walking distance to Whitebrook or whatever they call it nowadays. Middlebrook. That's walking distance. So yeah, there does need to be like sidewalk access to South Street from behind Main Street, behind the store.
That would certainly be ideal.
Yeah. I don't want to ask the wrong question, but these are apartments. Is this low income housing?
There's no requirement of that in the application.
Okay. What can we do to chop off a floor and make it 2 floors instead of 3?
I mean, you can talk to the applicant. They're proposing 3 stories.
Okay, I propose we just refuse the whole project. And whatever happened to the stores between them and the state and their building problems are not our building problems. We live there. Those are our residential homes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions for tonight? All right.
Nothing online.
Oh, good catch. Terry, same question for you folks. Is 2 weeks enough time to circle up and talk internally and with neighbors and everything?
Think so.
Okay.
Yes.
I motion to continue 336 Main Street until September 1st at 6:30 PM. We say 6:30, it'll probably be later. The other applicants take a little.
Well, let's just put them both at 6,
Put them both
just to be
at 6, make it
safe.
6.
Then if they're not here,
I modify my motion to 6.
Yeah, if you're all gonna be here at 6, then it just.
I want to wait.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, continuing to September 1st at 6.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good question.
We'll see- Yes.
Do you think you'll be able to get engineering review by then?
I don't think we'll be able to get engineering review. We won't have an engineer back in time.
Right.
So on that front, we'll either have to be made to feel comfortable with what we have, or we might have to talk about a peer review or a longer delay or something, but we'll have to, we can't do any of that in the interim because we won't be in a open meeting where we can deliberate or anything. So
Right,
We'll-
so
we'll
that's why I'm asking now. Is it worth asking like maybe Jim Gracia to look at it, something like that?
So, I mean, we have the ability under the ordinance to get a third-party review at the applicant's expense. We also have the ability to wait until, I think it's sometime in October when our city engineer comes back. I'm sure neither of those are great options, but, we could certainly,
This is a very basic stormwater
yeah,
design. So it's a lot to run it through that kind of review.
I completely understand that. And again, normally we would be handling all that in-house. And so maybe through conversations or, we can, or you can get a second opinion or something to make us, check that box, whatever you think you need to do. I'm just flagging it as something that I'm just like a little squishy on just because it's not how we normally do things. And I'm hearing complaints about those conditions already. So like, I also understand that often developments do improve the stormwater. And so that seems plausible to me as well, but we're sort of stuck in this tough spot here with that.
Yeah, I'm just asking, how can we best proceed? Because if we're talking about getting a peer review, then you have to get that authorized. We have to pay for somebody.
You don't
That
want to be in the
takes 4
same
weeks.
situation 2 weeks from now.
What's that?
You don't want to be in the same situation 2 weeks.
Right, I don't want to be discussing this 2 weeks from now.
I mean, I don't know how to see what's in the future. We did just continue this. I mean, hopefully we can be comfortable with that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to say what we would think in 2 weeks, but Allison, any ideas?
So I mean, it sounded like you would be open to the applicant just having their own sort of second or third party.
I personally would be comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a review done or something like that by another party that
No?
gives me
I
that
mean, would
comfort.
you be comfortable if we hired Jim Gracia to review it?
I mean, I'm not gonna pick a person that you get, but I think
Well, he was
that.
the previous city engineer. that's
Yeah,
what
I
said.
understand. I mean, I think that if there was a second opinion that confirmed that, I think personally that would go a long way for me, but I don't wanna advise. Yeah, so
Okay.
I think that's,
Yeah, and I would also say if it turns out that that doesn't come together or the board's still not comfortable, we could try and really narrow the scope
Yep.
for the review so
Yep.
that it's not.
expedited. Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you. We'll see you all back on the
I-
1st.
Can you just say like how that's not a conflict of interest? It kind of seems like someone choosing their own regulator.
Well,
is
I mean,
that
we can
not-
talk about this. We've continued the hearing, so we're
Okay,
done for
but
tonight, but
That
it
concerns me that, that we're gonna allow the applicant to choose their own.
certainly a valid concern to raise at the next hearing. If you want to raise that, we can talk about it then. All right. Thank you. We'll see you all on September 1st.
Thank you.
All right. One more. So folks, we've got another item on our agenda, so if you can take conversation outside. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 282 Loudville Road, minor amendments to a special permit. Somebody here for the applicant hiding in the back.
Yeah, right over there.
It's going to be aesthetic.
282.
Welcome.
Came on a busy night.
It's good to see it happen for other
This won't take as long as.
I hope that works.
Oh,
We're all for 3, I think. Getting it working right out of the gate.
You've been multitasking
Oh.
like an octopus for 2 hours, so it could not have gone forever.
only another hour and a half to go. You are presenting.
Yeah, so John, it looks like you're presenting your whole screen. Do you want to present just a window or a tab instead?
Yeah, let me see, how do I
Are we doing
do
this in
this? Stop
Braille?
sharing.
Are we doing this in Braille or what?
We gotta consider we've had a break for like, what, 8 months, something huge, and this is the first one back, so we are on fire tonight, which is great.
Not gonna pop in? There we go. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm John Furman, Office Manager for VHB, Engineer of Record. And we are here tonight to submit the A&R for 283 Loudville.
We already.
That one's been endorsed.
Oh, when did that happen?
We did that, but this is for the minor modification, minor amendment.
Yeah, we took it out of order. Sorry.
All right, scrap that.
Good news, bad news.
That's all right.
Less work for you.
Yes. All right, Pineview. Let me start with the narrative. So there are 3 items that we're asking to have an update on for the decision of Pineview Estates. The cover letter has them all laid out there, and it will kind of go in order. The last update that the board had approved was to add 2 units to the project, and then we had presented the where we were getting the additional land from. What we thought we were going to be okay with is one of the conditions in the decision, which said that from the issuance of the first CO, final payment had to be down 18 months later. That was to be scheduled in June of this year, and we were on track for that until those 2 additional units came on. And we just didn't really think about that condition until we started doing the logistics of wrapping things up. We are still working on securing those 2 properties. We have one very close. The other one we're dealing with is at the state. So there's a little red tape with that. We haven't started construction yet on the 2 units, but as we go through and we start looking at the time of year, that 18 months, we're past it now. The final coat is not on. So what we're asking the board to do, which we probably should have done when we updated the decision for the other 2, was to extend that date. And we kind of look at the time of year, it's already, mid to end August. If we were able to start construction, pavement plants are only open until November. We know the state property one is probably going to go a little later. So what we're asking for is to get an extension of that time frame to in the spring of 2027, which would be April or May.
What's the exact time extension you're asking for? How long?
So that would have been June. If you want to do 12 months, it would be June of 2027. That would get us covered.
I find that.
All right, you want to move on to the other ones? We'll take a vote on all
Sure.
the ones. Or?
So the second one is, as we've been working through Pineview and the construction, there has been a number of residents there who have asked to add patios to the back of the property. So I submitted as part of the application an updated set of site plans, and we've gone through and highlighted the changes through them here. So this is one of the layout sheets. So we're basically requesting permission to for all of the units so that they're all the same. Some will have them, some may not. A 12 by 14 unit, basically you walk out of the unit, you can see there's a door here and then there's steps going down. So there would be, wherever the door is and the steps, a 12 by 14 coming out. If we have 2 patios together, we're just asking for just a section of privacy fence to be between those. In order to make this a change and not have any impact on stormwater, we're requiring that the patios be made out of permeable paver material. So as we go through the plan set, you can see, you know, we've highlighted them. This is the end of the cul-de-sac. You can see them there as well. And then I'm just going to ratchet through to the details. And then this is the detail that we put together for the permeable paver. So basically, water falls on this. The blocks themselves are not porous, but the joints between them are. It gets into the substrate, which is sand and a gravel. We know from the stormwater design that the soils here are excellent. They're sandy, just as they are in most of the other projects we worked on. So these patios can go in and they won't have any impact on any of the stormwater systems.
What about the buffer to the property lines?
The buffers are not impacted. Let me go back.
Good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the setback to, oh, this is the grading plan. The setback to the property lines, I believe, for this unit, or for this design is, just the layout plan, no, that's the grading. I believe is 20 feet, and this is the closest one, and we're outside of that.
And I just learned that patios are not subject to the property lines. Thank you, Allison. I find it very good.
And we're just looking to be proactive because we're going to be turning over the HOA in November. So if we were taking care of this and, you know, and then, the HOA board themselves, if people want to do it, we've already done this for them.
Yeah. And then there's one more with the sidewalk.
Yes, so I just changed plans. So this is the plan set that the board has approved. And we're asking to change the sidewalk design at each driveway. So basically what you can see, and I have a 3D isometric view, I'll show you. Basically the sidewalk comes along. When you get to the driveway, it narrows down. This is still ADA accessible, then it widens back out. And then this becomes a concrete apron, 6 inches tall, that you have to bump over every time you kind of go in. And let me just flip to the isometric view so you can kind of see what that looks like. Craig and I met with their concrete designer or installer out there. And what we found is that there's a time commitment with pouring that between excavating, forming, setting up, pouring. On the double driveways, they only do half at a time, and then waiting that to set, stripping, and backfilling. The residents won't be able to use their driveways for 7 to 10 days, so they'd have to park in. Craig is concerned because a lot of the residents there are elderly, and it would impact their access to it. So what we've done is we've come up with an alternate design. We basically have stopped the sidewalks at the edge of the driveway, and we've introduced that ramping that you had when you drive over. We moved it to the sidewalk. So as you're walking down the sidewalk, the full width of the sidewalk now tips down to the asphalt surface. The asphalt itself, we know from driving, once a roadway is done, you can drive on an asphalt driveway within 2 or 3 hours. That section of asphalt between the two ramps will be graded to mimic the sidewalk. They'll have a maximum 2% side slope. So then you cross the driveway and you get back up to the other side. And that is consistent across all of the driveways. So that is I talked to Allison about it. We thought that since it's a deviation from the original approved drawings, that we would come in and ask for a change on that. And we have a detail, excuse me, here of what that would look like. So this is only one side of the sidewalk. So this, if you would imagine, this is the driveway. The driveway would come down and then tie right into the roadway, and there'd be a ramp either side going up to the sidewalk. So it's basically all the sidewalk is going to stay the same. We're not proposing to eliminate anything except the concrete going across the driveway so that we can get people into their houses more quickly.
Any questions from planning board members? All right, so again, we're just making a determination. Oh, Wendy, you got a question?
Okay. This is about the patios. I remember one meeting you came and you were saying you're going to have to do the construction, you're going to have to remove more trees, etc. Is this going to affect the vegetation in any ways?
These are all in the lawn areas and they abut the back of the building, so.
They're actually at the bottom of the stairs that come off the decks.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
And they're
it's-
against the units.
All right, so our question here, folks, is just whether we think these changes are minor enough that they don't have to renotice and amend their special permit. Any concerns?
No, I'd make a motion. Do you need to ask the public first though?
Sure. Anybody, is there anybody left online? All right,
I motion to find these minor, for the special front for 282 Loudville Road.
please.
I have written out the motions I mentioned. And I think it's important to just clarify that the existing.
The other conditions are-
Findings remain.
I rescind my motion. I'm going to motion again. Tell me again what you want me to add. Okay. So I move to approve the proposed modifications to the special permit and plans for the development of 282 Loudville Road. Having found that the proposed modifications are minor and do not require reopening the public hearing, the conditions and findings of the original special permit issued on February 6, 2024, as amended on May 19th, 2026, shall remain in effect with the exception of condition 2, which shall be updated to reflect the revised plan set, and condition 8, which shall be revised to read, final paving of the entire roadway shall be complete by May 15th, 2027.
So you had May 15th in your letter. I don't know if you want to amend that to June. That seemed to be where you landed.
That'd be better. That'd be better.
Yeah.
I rescind.
Just
I
amend the
amend
last
my
thing.
motion to change it from May 15th to
June 15th.
what was it?
June
June
15th.
15th. Someone,
Can I get a second?
please
Second.
second.
All right. Voting in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is this gonna be it, or are you gonna be coming back again?
We never planned to come back.
Yeah.
All right, we have
That's a
one
great
last
answer.
item on our agenda, planning board representative for the CPA committee.
I volunteered for the last.
I know.
Wendy, I think expressed interest.
Beautiful. I was gonna express interest for Wendy.
Well,
Uh,
I said to her, did anybody else already volunteer for it?
Do we need to nominate and approve that? I think so too. All right,
I motion to approve Wendy as the representative of CPA.
I will take Wendy's role and second that motion. All right, voting to approve Wendy as the representative to the CPA. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Congratulations. I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Someone second. Second.
Second.
All right, voting to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.